Uncle Joe's coming, boys and girls. Get ready to buckle up and tighten up.
After the steel mills fell, it just all crumbled. I'm third generation. I've worked at a steel mill for a year and a half, and now the steel mill ain't even there.
This is just the way of the world. China is an economic rival to the United States. It does export, it does manufacture, and yes, it takes American jobs.
We want to see China rise.
So, Sean, I think everybody needs to recognize that the Chinese Communist Party for decades now has taken advantage of America. That's the starting point. 50 years of failed policy, where we thought, if we just engage, if we're nice to them, if we do business with them, then somehow they'll leave us be. Well, we know that's not been the case. It didn't work. I gave some remarks about that a couple of weeks back at the Nixon Library, and President Trump knew it. He campaigned on this very issue. Said, we just want this to be fair. We don't mean anything ill will towards the Chinese people, but the Chinese Communist Party has been walking on the United States for decades, and we're not going to let that happen. Enough.
While there are arguments from our allies for either U.S. presidential outcome, there are concerns that, for example, a Biden victory could mean that Japan will have to monitor closely any moves that downplay the China threat, and that while some in the Asia-Pacific Rim might welcome the defeat of President Trump, they are, quote, wary of Biden's ability to execute a tougher China policy.
China and Iran want to see Donald Trump's defeat, and they're looking for ways to make that happen.
China's a great nation, and we should hope for the continued expansion.
Growth of China is overwhelmingly in our interest, and there's much more to come.
Do you think that Joe Biden is going to muscle up to China in the same way that Donald Trump did, or even in a similar way?
Look, if you look at his past history, not at all. He was incredibly soft on China when he was the Obama administration's point man on China. There was that infamous trip that he took on Air Force Two with Hunter Biden, his wayward son, in 2013. And he went there ostensibly to stop China from stealing America's intellectual property and also militarizing those islands in the South China Sea that have such drastic security implications for Australia and our other neighbours. And unfortunately, Joe Biden came away from that 2-week meeting with President Xi and other high-ranking Chinese officials with nothing. He came away empty-handed. But Hunter Biden, his wayward son, came away with a $1.5 billion deal for one of his companies with a subsidiary of a Chinese bank. So America lost.
Biden personally led the effort to give China permanent most favored nation status, which is a tremendous advantage for a country to have. Few countries have it, but the United States doesn't have it. Never did, probably never even asked for it, because they didn't know what they were doing. As Vice President, Biden was a leading advocate of the Paris Climate Accord, which was unbelievably expensive to our country, would have crushed American manufacturers while allowing China to pollute the atmosphere with impunity. Yet one more gift from Biden to the Chinese Communist Party. They took all of the advantage away from us. They took everything away.
Joe Biden's been a cheerleader of Communist China all along the way.
We want to see China rise. China is going to eat our lunch. Come on, man. I mean, they're not bad folks. I believe then, and I'm even more convinced now, that a rising China is an incredibly positive development. China has made remarkable strides.
China lying through its teeth. I know an expression, a phrase you have used when it comes to the pandemic. China seeing economics as a zero-sum game. China working its way into every aspect of American culture and governance and education. I hope the Biden administration sees those stark realities in the same way you've laid out and many nations across this world have already seen.
Bill Barr was talking about, this is the Attorney General, obviously, he's talking about what China does to use business against us. Let's play cut one of Bill Barr.
Free and fair competition with China has long been a fantasy. To tilt the playing field to its advantage, China's communist government has perfected a wide array of predatory and often unlawful tactics.
U.S. Supreme Court, you let it happen. Now deal with it.